back to our podcast channel. I'm your host Maggie, and today I'm taking with our guest Matthew about his
Hi.
role in education ENZ and his transition from a student life to his work life. Hello, Matthew.
Hi.
Would you like just introduce yourself to us?
Yes, of course. So, my name is Matthew. I was born and raised in Vietnam. I've been in New Zealand for 5 years now. During my first 2 years in New Zealand, I did high school here, so year 12 and 13, in Auckland Grammar School up in Auckland. And then I did a bachelor degrees for 3 years in Auckland University. Now that I'm all finished, I'm down in Wellington with these guys to do an internship position at Education New Zealand. So that's my story.
Yeah, I have heard you found a new job. So what was it and when did you start it?
Yeah, so my job is not really a job, it's still an internship at the moment. So I'm technically still just an intern, not an employee yet. But it's basically to manage Education New Zealand social media pages. And I started this job like 3 months ago, just before Christmas. So yeah, I'm still brand new to everything. I'm still learning a lot of things at the same time. Very stressful, but good stress.
Yeah, and what inspired you to find this intern?
Well, I guess like when I first started studying in New Zealand, I had this like passion in me to do things, to just do anything with social media, because I thought it's such a crazy way in the world that we live in. We get to connect with like people around the world globally, and to also give us each an individual voice too, an individual voice. I meant to say, and so social media was always a thing for me. And then besides that, it's also the factor that I am now finished being an international student, so I want to reach back and help as many people as international student as possible, because now that I've done that journey already. And so to combine those two things together, like the job at Education New Zealand was the perfect match for me.
I see.
Yeah.
And how was it like when when the transition from being a student in New Zealand and working in New Zealand?
I was very shocked. I was very, very shocked big time, because like the way I look at things is that when you at university, when you're still studying, you have this like imaginary list of check boxes that you go through. So for example, assignment 1, assignment 2, prompt, exam, and then hang out with friends at 4 p.m. and then 9 p.m. and go to bed and like wake up in the morning, do the same thing. But now that you are finishing studying, that checklist just basically disappears, and it is not there anymore. Like you have to really force yourself to do things. Nobody else is there to tell you what to do anymore. In the sense, it's very freeing because now you have more freedom, but then also it's very, very daunting because what do I do now? You know?
True. Once you graduate, you have to be, more self-disciplined.
Yeah.
Were there any difficulties you faced during, the COVID time?
Well, throughout my 3 years of university education up in Auckland, two of them, the last two were during COVID time. So two of them, like 2 out of the 3 were at home. And so that was really challenging for me because I didn't get to hang out with my friends. My social skills just went down dramatically. I didn't know what to say when I saw people after COVID anymore. Like it's a very weird thing. And I know that like a lot of us felt that too. And my problems probably aren't even as serious as they sound to me. But yeah, it was definitely difficult for me as a student. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you study, like which part of your education has helped you the most toward your work?
Yeah. So yeah, to bring back COVID, honestly, it's that I learned to basically work with other people within my team during COVID time. So you have to do it remotely because we all know that working with people is already challenging in itself.
I see.
That you have to understand other people's needs, and you have to understand that it's a shared commitment. But now to add another layer of difficulty onto it, which is to do it via Zoom, is tremendously difficult. But it was a skill that I'm grateful enough to have had during university, and now get to bring it to my work life.
Yeah, working online is not that easy.
It's horrible, right?
Are you work from home most of the time, or?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
These days working from home, because like my office it's got a lot of like positive cases already, so we're trying to mitigate that. Yeah,
That's good. Yes, unless you can work from home.
yeah.
And I feel you're quite awesome because you got the
Oh,
job
thank
like
you.
quite quick after the graduation. And do you have any advice for the international student to get a job once they graduate?
Yeah, yeah. So I think this advice probably doesn't just apply for international student. It applies
Mm-hmm.
for like
Everyone.
anyone who wants
Yeah.
to get a job, right?
True.
Yeah, so it's more about you have to really look from the employer's point of view. So if you want to get a job at a business or at an organization, you really have to consider how would I be of benefit to this organization? Because if you don't bring any advantages to the company, why would they want you there, right? So you really have to be thinking up from their point of view and trying to come up with a proper pitch or proper proposal, right? And yeah, to really use those, like once you understand that, the interviewing or the application process should be quite a smooth ride.
So do you mean just encouraging people to do some extra research for that company history or like what their story before?
Pretty much. So anything from their website, their social media, their history, and then their, even if you are like what is the word I was gonna say? If you're nerdy enough, you can go look up on their company register website, which like gives you a bit of information about their how was their company founded, who are their founders, where they're based, what kind of business they're in and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you really have to dig deep. Yeah.
Yeah, true. And could we know a bit about your study life? Like, can you tell
Yeah.
us about your first experiences as a New Zealand student?
Ah, it was a wild time, man. That was 5 years ago. Just to think about that, because sometimes I think about like 5 years ago, that was such a
Yesterday.
fast. Yeah, it was like yesterday, pretty much.
Yeah.
So 5 years ago, when I first arrived in New Zealand, I was 17. It was so difficult because like it was the first time I had to like leave my family, and but it was a good time. And the funny story is that I didn't even know it was an old boys school until I stepped foot onto the school ground, which was surprising for me. The fact that everyone was wearing short, the fact that everyone went to the same bathroom and the single sex, I was so shocked. But then again, it was an amazing experience, and I would even go as far as saying I would pay any amount of money just to get back to those 2 years, because awesome sauce, awesome time.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds quite awesome. And it was in Auckland, right?
Yes. So I went. Sorry, I should have mentioned I went to Auckland Grammar School.
Ah,
Yeah.
cool. And I have heard you got this scholarship when you were in the high school. And do you have any advice for our international student to get the scholarship in New Zealand?
Yeah. So, quick story is that after my like toward the end of my high school years, I thought to myself that hey, my parents had paid for my 2 years of tuition in New Zealand now, and it's been quite costly for them.
Yes, huge
And I,
fees.
yeah, as an international student, we feel that, right? Like we feel the pain.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, I cannot let this like happen anymore. So I needed to get some sort of financial aid from to basically help my parents. And so I was lucky enough to stumble across this scholarship that would pay for a full ride tuition fee for my 3 years. And I applied for that, and lucky enough, I got it.
Yeah.
And so some tips and tricks would be that it's the same tips and tricks that it's the same tip that I gave before. It's about understanding what the other party's point of view looking like. What I did was that I really had to sit down with myself and think about how would the University of Auckland benefit from having me on their scholarship. And I thought about what kind of values I can bring to the table, what kind of stuff I can help them out by being on this scholarship. And I basically made a little YouTube video out of it. It's probably still fully online if you guys want to have a look, but don't. Trust me, don't.
Yeah.
So I sent the links to like them, to the selection committee. I sent the link to like multiple different people just in hope that they would forward that email to the selection committee. And somehow it worked. And I got a scholarship, and I'm forever grateful for it, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, cool. And how did you find these great opportunities? How did you find this scholarship? Was it online or your school? Oh, I see.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good, because these days universities in New Zealand, they do an awesome job at posting like their scholarships onto their website. So it's a very simple like click on Google and like scholarships available for say University of Auckland, and it pops up like a long list, so you can really have a look there. And that's how I found it as well, just online searching. Yeah.
Did you know, like, is that all the scholarship mainly for the A per student, or like just for everyone else?
I would probably imagine scholarships would be for like high achieving students, but I don't think
Yeah.
because with my scholarship in specific, it didn't set any like grades requirement,
I see. Yeah.
and so yeah, no,
You just
it
need
really
to
depends.
like interview or just write an essay for them.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah,
Cool. And thank you so much for Matthew
yeah.
for joining us today. And I
No
hope
worries.
our viewers have learned something about education ENZ and its role in Wellington, and for all the students and what you can do after you're finishing studying. Please remember check out our social media platform, which will be in the description below. So thank you.
Bye.